Hi, everyone. I'm here with Tom Bacon, one of our advisory board members. Tom has worked as an executive at American, Mesa, and Frontier, and is now a consultant to airlines around the world, such as Etihad, at Cathay Pacific, and many others. He's got experience commercially very broadly in scheduling, pricing, revenue management, marketing, e-commerce, and much, much more. He was actually the person who introduced branded fares at Frontier in 2008, and they were the first U.S. airline to do so. And as we could see, that's kind of been taking over the industry as a whole now. He's been working with Aviation Festival Americas for over a decade now, so he's one of our longest standing advisory members, and we're so happy to have him here. Tom, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me.
Thank you, Kayla. Great to be here.
It's wonderful to have you, and I always appreciate all of your advice that you've given me as I've come into this conference the beginning of 2021. And so we'll just hop into it. What is a branded fare, since that is really what you're known for, and how does it work with ancillary fees?
Right. Well, in 2008, all the airlines were jumping on to the ancillary fee bandwagon. And so you started to get charged for bags and seats and so on in 2008. And Frontier felt like we needed to simplify it for customers and not have them have to go through all the various ancillary and opt in or opt out. And so we rebundled
Mhm.
fares, and um, and the way it's set up today too is you have one fare that is the lowest fare that has very few, if any, amenities, and then you offer another bundled fare that's higher that has more amenities, and potentially yet another fare that has more amenities.
Mhm.
And instead of revenue managing it and saying, oh, we're going to close out options for the lowest fare, we
Mhm.
offer all three or four at the same time to all customers, right up through the day of departure. And so the idea is give customers choice and make it easy for them to book higher fares if that makes sense for them. And so, from the airline standpoint, you get more revenue because it's easy to book higher fares. And from a customer standpoint, it's easier to navigate the whole ancillary uh, landscape.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I've seen, in the beginning, I felt like it was, if we're speaking on the LCC level, right? It was just your seat, and then it was just your seat and a carry-on, just your
Right,
seat, a carry-on, um, and a checked bag, and then maybe a larger seat, with all of
right,
those accoutrements, right? And then now we're seeing the full service airlines like United and American and Delta start to implement this, and they've taken it kind of to this next level of basic economy, fully refundable economy, premium
right.
economy, and the list goes on and on. So adding to that, what do you see as the latest trends in branded fares, and how has it changed since Frontier has been introduced?
Right. Well, one change is what you're saying. It
Hmm.
just proliferated, and so most
Yeah.
airlines offer some version of this. And and again, it is a way for customers and airlines to benefit. But I learned last year at your conference that United had over 20 branded fares, and I go, what?
Yeah.
But what they recognize is that the same bundle of amenities and the same upcharge shouldn't apply to every market that they serve.
Yeah.
And so you can have three or four branded fares presented to every individual customer, but for the long haul international, it may include a bag, even in the base
Hmm.
fare. Whereas in the short haul, they say, well, how would you like a low fare without a bag? And so, I mean, that really is a pretty important step for all of us. It complicates things from an airline standpoint, but I think it is
Hmm.
a huge step forward. Um, Valeris uh, is very innovative here too, and they now have a fare that is designed for business travelers. Now, in the past, we've sort of um, been a little fuzzy on that. You know, who wants the bag? Who wants refundability? And they've
Mhm.
come up with something that they call the business combo that is designed specifically for business customers. You mentioned refundability. It used to be that only the highest fares were refundable. And now
Mhm.
you can have bundles of fares that are refundable even among the lowest fares. And so that's sort of
Mhm.
an interesting thing. One more thing I need to mention is Frontier has a bundle of food and drink. And
Yeah.
so it's not the base fare that they're bundling. It is a set of amenities that seem to go together, right?
Mhm.
And so that's sort of another dimension of this thing. But I think the main theme is that airlines are still experimenting with this thing. And so, 13 years later, 14 years later, and airlines are still trying to figure out the best way to offer choice to customers that benefits them and the customer.
Right, and in a way that is easily manageable,
Yeah,
because, like, as as you
right.
said, United has over 20 different types of branded fares. So, that's got to be hard to manage. Of which branded fares do we offer on which routes? So, that brings me to my next question, which is, what are the major challenges in that, especially when it comes to distribution?
So, yeah, the whole idea is to offer customers options that are attractive to them, right? And so, what I
Hmm.
said was United has this innovation that allows them to do something different for international versus domestic and short haul
Yeah.
and so on. So, that's complicated to maintain. The bigger challenge, though, is actually you can do all of this on your own website that you have control over. Then what do you do on the travel platforms?
Yeah.
And um, and the convention is to just show the lowest fare. I mean, that's what we've always shown on these travel platforms. But we're starting to see airlines offer some of these choices in the whole array of choices on a third party website. But
Yeah.
it gets complicated there too, right? It already customers are overwhelmed with choice, I think, among the flights. And now we're
Hmm.
offering choice be, within the same flight. And it's hard to manage. Sabre has come up with this idea of shelves. And so the lowest fares are on one shelf. And then if you have bags or something, it's a higher shelf.
Hmm.
But we still have refundability, we have seats, we have change fees, we have all these other priority boarding. And
Hmm.
so airlines are not offering comparable bundled fares. They're not all exactly the same.
Right.
And so distribution is a huge challenge. And I should also say partnerships. If I have a code share on somebody else, how am I going to manage that? So so we still have a
Yeah.
ways to go.
Yeah, and communicating within the OTA of what this bundled fare is, as you were saying, So how does it compare to the other fares that are being offered, and how do you know really what is the best bang for your buck when you're looking on
Exactly.
this outside platform?
Right.
So where do you see this going in the future? What do you see as the future of bundled fares or fares in general? If maybe we move beyond bundled fares into something else?
Well, I do think customers want choice and they
Hmm.
want it to be easy. And that's what we're trying to do with branded fares.
Hmm.
Um, so our big idea is personalization, right? Kayla has certain practices, whoops, that when she goes on a long haul trip, she has certain things that she wants. And I could offer her on a pretty personalized basis choice, not
Hmm.
just, oh, I'm sure Kayla wants this, but instead, here's one thing that you might like, Kayla, and here's a great deal if you want to pay a little more and get a little more for it. And
Hmm.
so artificial intelligence is jumping into this. Um, we have some airlines experimenting with how do you, from the um, booking request, figure out what Kayla really wants. Oh,
Mhm.
It's a long haul trip. Oh, it's a group of two. Oh, there are no children involved, whatever it is. And
Mhm.
we can package something more specifically for your needs. So the future is personalization, and we're going to get there. And so, my 20 fares at United could be 1,000 in some sense,
Yeah.
as we try to set up fares for you. And artificial intelligence is key in that, right? Because there's no way an airline can set up and manage all this in any kind of manual way.
Yeah, that's the thing that I'm curious about to see where it goes. If maybe in the future of bundled fares, right, you have like a create your own bundle option. So it kind of touches on that where you go in and for this price, you can pick two of these five options as your additions, right? Whether it be a checked bag, whether it be priority boarding, whatever it may be. And you really have the option to go in and manually select that. I'm curious to see if that's something that maybe in the future. So that way you really are offering the most personalized package. But then it would be the challenge of, well, how do we figure out which are equal in price and value for this specific customer?
Right.
So it's interesting to see where it will go. And I'm excited to talk about this at the conference in Miami coming up on May 16th and 17th. We always are talking about what the next thing is in distribution, what the next
Yes, you
generation is
are.
in.
Yep.
And I feel like that's our kind of our bread and butter at the conference. So I'm excited to have you back, Tom, on some of these, and excited to for you to moderate on some of these panels, and also hopefully hosting a roundtable as well, talking about
Perfect.
these branded fairs. So again, thank you so much, Tom, for being a part of the conversation as always, and we'll see you in May.
Okay. Thanks, Kayla.
Thank you.
Bye, all.